First, any apologies?
Yes, we have an apology from Councillor Blair Park and also from Councillor Chris Smith. He may be able to come here later, but at the minute is giving his apology. So we've got two.
Right, we'll move on to the public participation session then. Yeah, Frank, do you want to go first?
Yes, thank you. I've for many years been trying to campaign to get more car parking in Ashby. You know, we know mainly it's a district council function. That hasn't happened as yet, but on our agenda tonight under planning applications, there's an application in for car parking in Williams Field, which sits at the back of the golf club. I did try and get Williams Field adopted by the NHS to build a health centre at one time, but that didn't transpire. Anyway, we have an application before us tonight, and I see that a notice has gone up, public notice has gone up today at the entrance to the bar grounds on Bar Park Road for the first time presumably, so that's the first that the public will know about it. And as far as I can establish, being a member of Ashby Bowls Club, it's the first I know about it, and as far as I can establish, it's the first time that the Bowls Club knew anything about it. But there seems to be some discussion between the applicant and the town council about the arrangements. So I think the Bowls Club certainly have some concern, having looked at the plan that comes with the application, as to whether the present arrangements as provided in the original lease, which allows parking on the wild ground to take place. There's sort of a concern that maybe something is going to change in terms of that. So I don't want to go through a lot of detail because I've got Will Hawkins here tonight, who's their present acting president of the Bowls Club, and he will just say a little bit more if you're given the opportunity just before we go off that way. Thank you.
It's fine, yeah. What I'll do, Frank, if you want to go to Will, no point me responding at the moment if it's the same, and then we'll, yeah.
Bowls Club's viewpoint on it. The plan shows a gated pedestrian entrance exit from your car park to Bowls Club. That implies that the council is expecting the Bowls Club to use that car park. I may be wrong, but that's the implication. But if that were the case, and we had our existing parking arrangements removed, and we haven't had our lease provided by the council yet, so we don't know. If that was the case, and there was an event on backgrounds, and there are several during the year, and we had a match, there would be no red flag, because that car park would be full. So that's our concern at the moment. And maybe we found it, that's the right option. So we've got some hope.
Right. In terms of the application, obviously we'll discuss that on the agenda later this evening. In terms of, I wish the town council had the power to ask the applicant, can you give this many and we'll do this and do that. The lease itself, I don't know what the state that's in. That's I'm not dabbling in that. You know, I chair this committee. I don't do the leases. I know that that's with the town clerk at the moment, so I don't know what state it is. And as far as the town council, we don't have the powers at the moment, as far as I'm aware, to say, right, we're going to suddenly change the lease there and this application is going to come in and we're going to tell district it can only come in because it must have this many permanently for the bowls and we'll push you off. So assuming the application was approved by district and then there's a lot of steps to get through for that to happen. And tonight, as a committee, we'll just discuss the application, whether in our response to district, whether we say we've got no problems or actually we want to say no because of X, Y, and Z. And saying obviously that's for the committee to decide. And obviously that field is obviously referenced in the neighbourhood plan as well. So in terms of the position of it, that if only we had the powers to tell people what to do in the planning, it make life easier, but we don't. So, and certainly I'm not aware of any plans to try and tweak the lease from the town clerk to say, well, this is happening, therefore. So that's certainly not something I'm aware of. Picture.
It also makes point as a resident of Prior Park. I know it looks like a quiet little corner, but we have a lot of vehicles going up and down. We have deliveries from Tesco, that sort of thing. We have carriers, we have relatives. We also have a few ambulances going up and down. So that's quite it looks quiet, but there are a lot of vehicles going constantly up and down there. And I also find that the T junction onto South Street is very difficult to maneuver, especially with school coming out, and because it's a one-way system down there, and from the car park in South Street, it's a very tight little corner. So I think 92 cars is an awful lot of cars for that particular area.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
I'd like to ask the lady, what I'd like to say, there is an elderly estate there, elderly people who live there. I go down that road every single day, and most of the time I have to walk on the road. And the reason I have to walk on the road is because mobility scooters, people with single frames, elderly people with dogs. So I walk on the road because I'm capable of doing it. That road going up to where the post car park is not wide enough to house scooters, dogs, people, and the extra amount of cars coming through. Also, everybody knows just along Pride Park, before the car park, it's known as a drug's den. If you speak to the police, they will tell you it's a drug den there. Can you imagine what it could be like if it's a car park? It's not safe. It's not safe for anybody to walk up there.
And if I can just add something to that, the existing car park on South Street, it seems to me, as an observer, it's just given a free for all for nefarious goings on. That's not even controlled. And then you're going to have double the capacity and not control that. So you have double the capacity uncontrolled. That's a recipe for disaster. And I'm not cooked.
And opposite that junction, as that lady will tell you, there are 20 flats facing that junction. I live on South Street. I see the traffic there. I see the congestion, and I see 5 cars. If you have a car park there, there's going to be major problems. And it's not fair when you stay there for elderly people and you're going to have cars coming up and down there. It's just not fair.
And the noise that comes with it.
Yeah.
And the pollution that comes with it. But again, I'm guessing that it's like an NIMBY thing, isn't it? But it really isn't. It's just whichever idiot thought they could put 92 car parking spaces there. Honestly, this place is institutions for people like that.
I'd like to interview people tonight because I will do a petition and I will be going round with all the houses and the people who walk that street.
I think our estate manager, we've got 2 managers.
Yes, I am, because I was 6 on my list.
67 houses there. And to be honest, the road is so narrow.
Yes,
There isn't even a white line down the middle of it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, so we'll come on to that application when we get onto planning applications, and we'll make sure that's the first one we go through. But yeah, I'm sure the committee have heard your points, and we'll note that in our discussion. But thank you. Yeah, sure, Ken.
Yes, several questions. One that I've just stated about this replaced car park. In essence, it seems a reasonable idea, but I think we should carefully look at the numbers. 92 seems very high, and there could be great problems, as I said, at the junction in particular. So I think the town council could suggest the number could be reduced. My other questions related to Munhill, particularly Munhill steering group.
Is it worth just checking?
Sorry, Ken, I was just saying it might be worth seeing if there's any more Bullens Field. And I had a chap that contacted me, Dan.
Hello everyone, I've been asked to speak on behalf of certain residents of Prior Park Lane.
We have grave concerns about this proposal and we will be formally objecting to it. We note first of all that the proposer previous development proposals for bungalows were withdrawn in or around 2017, presumably after considerable objections were raised. And the proposer now appears to come up with an alternative scheme for generating revenue out of this land, with the thin justification as being for the benefit of actually giving parking pressures here. We don't agree with their views on parking issues. We also note that the proposer, who appears to reside in Australia or the US if it's the leaseholders, seeks to overturn the local green space designation of Fulham's Field that the town council, in their foresight and wisdom, imposed on the land to protect it in or around 2021. Our concerns and objections revolve around 5 issues, a number of which we've already heard about. Number 1, the encouraging of antisocial behaviour. Number 2, traffic and car parking issues. Number 3, flooding concerns. 4, negative impacts on amenity value and eco-diversity. And number 5, historical significance. We've already heard about antisocial behaviour. Car park here will only exacerbate a real problem issue. On traffic and car parking, we've seen the engineer's risk assessment appended to this application, which we think is wholly unrealistic. We've heard this is a thin road and cul-de-sac essentially, used by children and old people as a thoroughfare and very thin pavements. It is simply not going to be able to cope. On parking, we have the new Money Hill car park, which is presently underutilised. And as a matter of general principle, we also think that pushing sustainable alternatives like cycling is preferable to pushing car parks. In flooding, we've seen the water engineers come up with a scheme to divert flows into existing Severn Trent assets. That report seems to us to ignore the true situation on the ground, which is that Castle Field now floods every year, sometimes for months at a time. And paving over this space can only, as a matter of common sense, make things worse. On amenity value, our local green space has already been squeezed by a spark walk. No one wants to walk on the path next to a car park full of cars emitting fumes, as opposed to one next to a pleasant green space. And on eco-diversity, despite what the questionable reports submitted with the application say, very clearly a haven for wildlife, as recognised by the local green space designation. Finally, on historical significance, we're no experts, but we understand this to be the site of Castle Fish Ponds, which, whatever the applicant's archaeologist says, will be lost forever if this development is allowed to proceed. We'd like to ask the council who exactly the proposer is here and whether the council has ever tried to explore buying this land from that person first. Thank you.
I can tell you the land was offered to the council 3 times. 3 times, and 3 times the council didn't want it. And that was by John Bullenstock. That's the truth. And he was there, he's been here before the Russians. So they didn't want land. He lives in Australia, Sicily, living on town. What's he going to do with it? They're not giving it away.
I just mentioned that it seems to be like the general public doesn't ever seem to be given any information about things like this. I mean, this seems to have been totally under the radar, most people in Ashby, until like yesterday. I was like astounded. So if you're saying that the council has been offered it, well, surely it would be. Yeah.
That's not his problem. That was his father's property. He chose not to do it, so now this is what he wants to do.
Then surely the public need to know, the people in the community, if all these offers on the paper as well. Because I've heard so many people say that they just were not aware of this, even being on the agenda, this happening. And so the same thing could be.
I'm just Amelia's
In terms,
Amelia's mouthpiece.
But
I understand, you know what it is.
yeah, in terms of this application, we have not been offered the land. Obviously, that's the application's been presented, and the applicant has spoken to the town clerk in advance saying they were going to put an application in. And at that point, we have said it's Greenland, it's under the neighbourhood plan, and we particularly don't really want to see it. And we have spoken with the applicant before the meeting so they could talk to us about it. But at that point, that was just so that, because obviously it's been a last minute application, so that us as members of the committee can understand exactly what it is they're proposing. Because obviously there's a lot of documents gone up there, and we've all tried to go through them and clarify with the applicant exactly what it is that they're proposing. Yeah. So we are, yeah. Are there any more questions about Bullens Field before we move on from anyone?
Final decision about whether we go for it or not, is it town or?
No, it's district do planning. As far as planning goes, we can comment on it just as yourself as a member of the public can. But obviously we will put that in, and with things like Money Hill, obviously we've got a direct line into district to nag them a bit more, which we try and do where we feel we can. But we don't carry the decision, unfortunately.
So the objections goes to, if we go direct to district?
Yes, the objections are to go to the district.
Few days, do it, isn't it, to object?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah,
Mm,
yes.
yeah.
Obviously, is the application live?
It's
Yeah.
yes, on the
So
planning
there is a
portal,
number
yeah.
there.
Yes,
The lady and others can refer to.
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah. I think it came out to us last Monday, so it was very short notice. So we just squeezed it onto the agenda.
No, but it will be accessible on the NWLGC website. If you follow the link, it will explain how you make an objection.
Yeah, you just put it in Bullens Field and it'll come up with.
Okay.
right. If there's no more questions about Bullens Field, we'll go back to yourself,
Okay.
Ken.
I was going to say, excuse me, but I mean, I've been speaking to the town council about this for the last 12 months. Yeah. It's all been there. I even had a meeting the other day, I can't remember where was that? A few weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. This has been in the system for a year. So the fact you don't know about it is not our problem. That's the communication between you guys. A year.
Ken.
They're not last minute.
Okay,
Thank you.
Money Hill, so the Money Hill steering group of the town council have been considering various aspects of the Money Hill estate. So I'd just like to ask, would they continue to consider certain points? I have written recently to the Chief Planning Officer about the traffic impact survey, which is vital because we need to know what impact possibly 10,000 people living on that estate are going to make on actually all their cars when it's finally been completed and full. And in fact, I've just heard from the Chief Planning Office that won't be available until a month or so from now, despite the planning application going in a long time ago. So I hope you are pressing that and trying to find out more details about that. There's also a new planning application gone up at Money Hill, saying that it's a major development affecting public rights of way, but appears to be a repeat of the phase 2 planning application. It's just gone up. Are you aware of that? Do you know what it means? It's on the website. It's by the entrance. And it's been put up in August.
I wasn't aware of any more
Okay.
further ones, Ken. No, not for Money Hill.
And also, I've written about the bus gate, the operation of the bus gate. To the agreement, after the first 100 houses were occupied, there was supposed to be a bus gate that would stop any more cars from any residents coming up to Nottingham Road. There are now more than 100 residents living there, and the bus gate has been partly constructed, but is not operational. If it is operational, though, there's a barrier to get through to the bypass road. So the bus gate can't work anyway. So I've written to the Chief Planning Officer, and he said if a complaint is made to my planning enforcement team, that an irregularity has been passed, which it seems to have been done, they will investigate in the normal way, which is a terribly helpful statement. I can't understand why he isn't telling his own team to investigate. However, can the steering group please look into this? Well, I presume you are.
Yeah, when we met them a couple of weeks ago as part of the steering group with district, I know they're due to do another check to see how many are occupied. And on the back of that, that's when it will trigger the 100. But we have spoken about the bus gate, Ken, and we'll want that to be properly operational as per what was agreed. So
And there
we
is
will
no
press on it.
provision to get through to the bypass. So if there's already 100 people living there, how can the other 500 drive through to the bypass? Have the town council been able to the site?
Haven't been that far up the site recently, Ken, but we will raise it with them when we have our next steering group in a few weeks. It's not a
And
problem.
obviously within this, hopefully you're also looking at the provision of a playing field on the site, which the district council are now hoping happens. You're also looking at the community centre and any 106 money for Ashby. I know it's a 106 money steering group. Has that now been followed up?
We've put an initial set of 106 requests into district for them to look through and come back to us so they can feedback in terms of what we'd likely get, where we need to give more information, etc., so that we get the best deal for the town. Obviously, the community centre is one of those things we will be putting in there, along with other things. But obviously, that is nowhere near being heard, because obviously they're still putting the paperwork together for the application, but well over a year now, I think, since they did the initial one. And so I think it's going to be a good 6 months probably before it even gets to district for them to make a decision on it. The way it's going, it seems to be going a long time, but we are still in contact with district, and we're working with them with what we would like to make sure that we put it in so much a manner that we give ourselves the best chance of getting those 106 monies, and that we actually get the community centre out of phase 2, and whereas obviously it was not delivered under phase 1 with the wording that was put into the document, but we will keep pressing on that. Are there any more questions from anyone, or anyone online as well?
That's fine. Anybody in line got a question? 2 people.
Right, I'll
2
take that.
not.
Right, so we'll move on then. Next is any declarations of interest? No, good. And any requests for dispensation?
Assume none. I've not received anything.
Right then, minutes from the July meeting, 7th of July. Thank you. And second, Emma, second. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to item number 6 then. Footpath 089. So to receive a verbal update from Councillor Harrison.
Thank you and good evening, everybody. Where do you start with this sort of tale? I've been involved for probably 2.5, just over 2 years. I was a district councillor for Muddy Hill, so I was approached could I help. Easier said than done. And then obviously now as a county councillor. There was nearly a deal done here about 9 months ago, but the leader of the council couldn't quite grasp what was happening. The path was going to be moved on to the field, and so it was better. The whole thing was better thought out, brilliant. But he said, well, let's have the fencing up. So how do we get onto the field? Well, we'll do that later. So that was how the sequence of events, where somebody didn't understand the other person's problem. So eventually it was closed. I had no part in that. I got a phone call saying, can you check when the county council put the signs up? So what's that for? It says, well, we've applied for whatever and stoppage, and that was that. There's a lot more storyline in it, though, because obviously they were in danger with their insurance, because this, I think, what proved them. Somebody recommended a closure to them, but then obviously the insurance were playing up that they won't be insurable. So if they lost their insurance, then who else would insure them? And then they wouldn't be able to operate the business, be there for about 80 years. So they were in a hard position. But it's all because nobody tried to understand the other person's problem. How can we get it to work? So there's been a huge hue and cry from the town council, battling hard and fast. We want this, we want this, we want that, and everything else. I've been working on a different plan. Hope to God it can work. It's a better plan altogether, and it's a more realistic one. Councillor Bigby's smiling. He's the one who's like cycle tracks. Well, I was on a cycle track many years ago for Ashby, and we're desperate to have a cycle track out. Now it's a field footpath. Who knows what that means?
Doesn't exist.
Well, it's 3 foot.
Yeah.
It's 3 foot field footpath. Right. So, if you would, councillor, yes, you sir. Come on, hold. Oh, come on, don't be shy. He's normally not shy like this, is he? They have to come into the middle so people can see. Right. So,
Should have bought a bigger tape then.
yeah. So that's 3 foot. Now, bearing in mind, you have to hold it tight because there's more to come. So that's 3 foot. Now, remember, there's fencing going up. So you've got that and 6 or 7 foot fence on either side. That's what you were fighting night and day. We want it, we want it. But that wasn't going to work, was it? So hold it tight. Sorry, that's what I'm hoping for, 9 foot. The cycle track, it should be illuminated as well. I've said no, it should be illuminated. Can't have all of that fencing and dark areas. That's where I am today, trying to get this through. We're very, very close. It's not quite there yet, but that's the difference between 3 foot and 10 foot. And it's a different ball game, or get 9 foot, sorry. No, keep holding, it's good, you guys. Come on, you've got nothing else to do. So that's the difference, and that's been the battleground. Because when you looked at 3 foot, it was meaningless. If you're going to have fencing up either side, how are we going to do it? And who's going to feel safe? Young children or women walking up and down there at night on the road. And if we're supposedly going to have all these thousands of people wanting to walk into town one day, well then this means you can have disabled vehicles pass each other. This means bicycles could pass each other. So it's a total different. And one of the strongest advocates of this is Tom. He said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it proper for the future. We're not going to do just a 3 foot. I want it that. So this is where we are with it up to this stage. There's more work to be done. If ever you can be optimistic, I am. Simply because obviously if they're showing interest and willingness to try to move forward, I think there's a very good chance. I'm just saddened because I've been decried and defamed and God knows what in the local press and media, and so is the family. And really, they're not bad people. They want to do something positive. They want it to be right, and I think there's a chance it can be right. But it means a bit of common sense. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. You're talking about there is a solution now, right? Maybe there is. It's going to take another 6 months, another year. All this time, we're putting public at risk. Bear with me. You have, as the leader of the county council, agreed to shut the footpath on application.
No, let me correct you. I don't agree with anything. The application went before 2 people to agree. One was the director of highways, and the other was the head teacher of that school.
No.
Now, if the school has said no,
the head teacher hasn't. I've had a meeting with them. I've had a meeting with the
no, that's the Pershman. That was the old head teacher said yes. The council close it because it went to that. But you can't close a pub.
Right, before we get into a shouting match, we calm it down, please.
Thank you.
And can, when you're asked, and between the, no, can we calm it down, please? And can we let each other speak? Because
I've asked yourself, I've asked the director of transport, I've asked you for risk assessment that was put in with the application. The application to shut the public right away has been submitted to the county council, and I've asked as the ward councillor for a risk assessment to be shown to me. I want to see that risk assessment that they put in, that it convinced the director, not yourself and other officers, to shut that footpath. Then I've asked county council to show me a risk assessment on the alternative route that the county council, not you, have put in place, putting children on the road with no pavement on one side, with a pavement which is 3 foot wide on one side, and you are telling me that is safer than a footpath that's been there since 1850 with no accidents reported. And in the alternative route, there have been 3 fatalities in the last 2 years. I've got them all documented. And this has took this, and now to ask for an extension of something which is done actually illegally, which is done with breaking the rules, and you want an extension on it now. To me, there is something quite wrong here, Mr. Harrison.
No,
you know.
I'm telling you.
I had a meeting with you, sir. I had a meeting with you, sir, when you say about the family. I had a meeting with yourself, sir, in my restaurant, and the family asked me for £500,000 to be brought into the meeting that evening for what they wanted for the land. And I did that exactly with the permission of yourself and the family. I came to the meeting and I said what you were asking. They were asking for £500,000 for that land, for the garden room, right? That's what they wanted. And they called it a ransom strip. And I said, I won't use that, but I'll use it tonight. They actually said it's a ransom strip. And I said, I won't use that, because that I think was wrong right. I will use it tonight. They refer to it as ransom strip. We have been absolutely, the public of Ashland Village have been totally bullied by this. The whole process has been nothing but bullying. And I, for one, will not stand for it, and I will share all the information I have on it with my public. And I won't take threats from the bullet, from the family who said they would take me to court, and I better have hundreds of thousands of pounds put away because their barriers are very high. That's what message from yourself then to me at 10 o'clock at night. My wife was listening. I am now, if I don't delete what's happening in social media, if I don't back up the report by their barristers for hundreds of thousands of pounds. Good luck finding it. But besides that, yeah. So I now rest my case. Yeah, everything I said is the truth.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's your version of the approach to all of this, because obviously it had to close because of the danger. I wasn't a signature to it. I didn't recommend it. I got a phone call to say it was closed. Now, people are ridiculing it, but trust me, the county council wouldn't risk getting themselves into trouble or doing something wrong unless they thought it was appropriate and right. And it was the old school head who said yes when she was approached. You couldn't have closed it without her. They've told me if she'd have said no, they wouldn't have been able to close it. It's because she agreed. That's how the closure went ahead.
Councillor Harrison, so you're saying that as the political leader of the county council, pathway closures are signed off by the head of Ivanhoe School?
No.
So
Let
who
me explain. No, because
that's
you're
what you
now
just said.
twisting it. She agreed because of the danger to the children in the lorry park, subject to photographs that looked at or was shown, how they strayed everywhere and on doing scrapping and doing all sorts, broke a car windscreen. She said, no, it's far too dangerous. And that's that. If she'd have said no, we wouldn't have been here this evening. I don't know what would have happened. It's my responsibility. But at the end of the day, I can assure you, it was only because of that her say so, it was closed. So there you are with that. That's quite simple. It's as easy as that.
Okay, so right, Councillor Benfield.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Harrison, thank you for your explanation, which I have to say I didn't really follow. There wasn't a lot of detail. But you're saying that the town council had a deal 9 months ago, or nearly had a deal 9 months ago. I'm not aware of that deal. You then said you had some communication with the landowner. You were dealing with the landowner. And my concern here is that none of these conversations have entered the public domain, and yet you're a councillor, and that is where discussions are supposed to lie. You then say that then the landowner talked to you You said after the closure, the landowner came to you and said,
he rang me up.
rang you up and then said, it's an issue about insurance. We can't get insurance because of the danger. The landowner has a legal responsibility to make sure that that footpath is safe. If he cannot make the footpath safe, then that's his problem. No, then that is actually. But you appear to be defending the landowner's actions and defending the landowner's responsibilities and saying it's all about his business remaining open. No, I'm sorry. His legal responsibility is to make it safe. If he's driving, as you just quoted, vehicles over the shop and strapped breaking car windows, that is his problem. It is not for you to say, well, that's all fine. He's got a business. I'm sorry. No.
No, all right, well, I understand that, but what you're misrepresenting me. I don't make the plans. They were here with your leader of this council 9 months ago, and that's what I'm referring to. So the council knew about it. They knew what was happening and where the debate was. And that's it. And it's just ebbed and flowed all the way across from that.
Could you answer call, please, on the subject that you just raised, on landowner's responsibility?
Are you aware it's the landowner's responsibility
Just answer that.
to make sure that it's a safe site?
Yes, it is, but the county council have rights over that land.
I'm talking
No,
about.
but they have the rights, and it's their walkway.
It is not their responsibility to make sure it's safe. It is the landowner's responsibility to make sure it's safe under law.
So how would he do that when people walk through his
That
yard?
is his because it's a footpath, they have a right to walk through this path. If he cannot make that footpath safe, that is his problem. And it always has been.
All right, okay, well, that's a view.
It's not it's the law.
No, that's not a decent.
It's a law.
All right then, all right, well, look, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to test anything, so I'm not responsibility to do that.
I thought chap behind you, he is.
Right, right, councillor Jury.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Harrison,
Yeah.
you mentioned about the landowner having issue with insurance. I'd like to ask a rhetorical question because you may not be able to answer. The landowner hasn't just moved to Ashby and started a business. I'm sure they've had an insurance in the past, and I'm sure the insurance company was aware of the footpath that was there. I don't understand why this hasn't been communicated to the public in a very quick manner. So, for example, as a county councillor in Ashby, as soon as the application was approved, which you mentioned you were unaware about, you should have, say, posted something online on your page, wherever, to inform the public what's really happening. It's taking you months and so long.
well,
to
no,
come
let
into
me,
this room.
hold on.
I'm not done
Yeah.
yet, sir. It's taking you so long to come into this room to explain your solution to us. And I felt like we've deprived the public, or you've deprived the public, such information for so long. And what I would like to know is moving forward, what's the ETA for your solution that you've explained to us tonight?
Well, I honestly don't know. It could be 2 months, 3 months, it could be 6 months. I'm not in charge of construction. I'm just explaining some of the history to this. And obviously, when it got to the point that more people were travelling down there, because people travelled up and down there for donkey's years. But when you suddenly get hordes of young people going all over your business premises, that's where the whole thing fell apart, sadly. Right or wrong, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge. I'm just telling you, I got the phone call to tell me what had happened, and it was then public knowledge, everybody knew.
I think it's important for us to know the estimated time for delivery for your solution. It's coming into this room to give us a solution that will take 10 years to deliver, or even 20 years or 40 years to come. So I think it's important for us to have a plan.
You know, well, as a layperson, just talking to officers, it could be, it all depends if all the agreements, they've got to pull out two big trees or 3 big trees. All these things have got to be done. I'm not involved in that. My limit as a council is trying to bring people into a room to create a discussion, and that's it. I'm not a judge or jury. I'm not in control of it. I've not got ownership or anything of it.
You're in control of county council, sir.
Yeah, but we're not involved. There's an entity there. You might be trying to be helpful, but you're being very helpful because at the end of the day, yes, I am the leader, but I can't go in and say you're going to do this and do that because that's what I want you to do. Not in the real world. You've got to have proper reason. You've got to have expenditure. I can't go in and say
practice the law. The law says they must maintain the footpath. Can't get simpler. They are responsible for safety. That is your responsibility as a county council leader and your team to please enforce that, sir. Send your enforcement officers there and open the footpath because it's been shut illegally. And you know it. We have no, I keep asking, risk assessment, please. Please, in front of all these people. Can I see the risk assessment? They
I
provide.
don't have anything like that, Pershman. I'm not involved at that level. All I'm trying to do
But why are you here?
is be a peaceful broker.
Why are you here if you're not involved at that
Because
level?
I'm trying to explain
Calm down,
what the
please.
thoughts are and what's trying to happen now. I can't guarantee it, but I'm putting my ounce of energy into it to try and see, can we get this to work? Can it work?
Right. Councillor Bigby.
Yeah, thanks. So a few things here. You were talking about the width of the footpath. I recently saw paperwork from the county council saying that the footpath is 7 foot wide, and it always has been ever since it was acquired by Wainwright in 1970.
It's a field footpath, which is 3 foot, but the county have legal rights up to 7 foot.
Exactly.
They don't own the land, but they have legal rights over it.
Exactly. So that footpath could be 7 foot wide without you having Wainwright need to ensure that it is 7 foot wide and it is safe. And this is what we have been talking about. It's their responsibility to provide a safe footpath through their land. Simple. If they decide that it isn't safe, then they have to do something about it. We haven't told them it's not safe. We said there was a danger of it not becoming not safe when Manning Hill is completely built up, but that's sometime in the future. The temporary closure went through on ridiculous, without proper paperwork. The Wainwrights presented some photographs of some people walking across his land. There was no survey in terms of any increased usage. There was no, there was a set of photographs on one day in November last year, suggesting that there were more people, but there was no evidence. You talked about the insurance from Wainwright's insurance. He did not submit any evidence, as far as I know, according to the freedom of information that we have received, that the insurers were rejecting. He just submitted a copy of his insurance certificate.
I'm told he paid the fee and the school supported the closure. That's all I can tell you. The school supported it with the director of highways saying that is dangerous looking at those photographs. The children wandering all the way across that yard.
Photographs one particular day.
Well,
on a footpath that he had not made any provision to make safe. And also, he said that he had consulted the town council on his application form, which he had not done.
Look,
So I would like to
I'm
know.
not in charge of any of that.
Okay, I hear what you say. You're not. That's not your fault. It's the fault of county council officers, I guess. But what I would like to know is: are you proposing that you have a temporary closure at the moment?
No, I don't.
You, as the county council. You represent the county council here, so you know.
In his name, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a temporary closure order which has been agreed, and the county council my question is, will the county council have the new footpath reinstated and open before that temporary closure runs out?
I wish I could tell you, I don't know that.
Why not? It's
Because
your
I
job
don't know.
to
I
ensure
don't
that
understand. I'm not an engineer. I know that they're getting on with it. There's progress going on. Supposed to be stone in it, then finish it in tarmac. There's going to be curbing and lighting, I'm told. But I can't tell you the end date. They've not told me. No, they said. So I don't know. It's the truth. I don't know
My
that.
final question is my understanding of the last meeting that was held in your office about this, that the landowner refused to cooperate with the scheme that the county council is putting forward. So my question is, what are you going to do if he continues to refuse to cooperate with that scheme and allow it to happen?
Well,
Are you going to require him to reopen?
that
the
one,
file?
well, if the county council say they're not renewing it, I presume he'll have to open it. But that's nothing to do with me. I'm not in charge of all of the sort of things you're trying to suggest.
So if assuming as the county, the temporary closure, which ends in December, comes to an end and there's still no solution, if the Wainwrights put an application in to extend it, as the county council leader, will you support that application?
Well, if it was only going to be for a couple of months, probably, but I can't say definitely. I'd like to know if there was going to be an end date. There'd have to be an end date to be able to do anything, I presume.
Okay. And so you're saying you might support an extension.
What
So-
is the end date? Of it?
The end date is the start of December. It's a 6 month. It's a 6 month. And
Right, I would have thought it, God willing, it could be done way before.
so
that.
if you think it can be completed before the end of December, but you don't have any, how can you tell that us if you have no plan, if you don't know what they're doing up there? Because surely the basics of being able to say it'll be done by the 6th of December is having a proper plan, even if it's a piece of rubbish on a paper with a very high level sketch. Because
All I know
otherwise,
is
when
their procedures and the communication between the county officers saying what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, and the time schedule wasn't specific.
and you're signing off a plan that's not specific.
Well, I don't sign off anything.
But as the county council leader, you have the power you have the power to see
Dealing
this.
all
And
that minutiae.
so
Who signs off a plan, who doesn't sign off, I won't see it. But if it come to expenditure from the county, what was exorbitant, then somebody would obviously tell me.
so
I couldn't even tell you the cost of it.
So
So-
as the member for the county council for Ashby, in your ward that path goes through, and you know there's a lot of strong feeling in this town about
Totally.
that. So you have completely no idea of what's going to go there, how
Yes,
much
I
it'll
do.
cost.
Yes, I do.
Well,
I
just
know
said
the
you don't.
start of the footpath. I know the width of it. I know the fencing. I know the curbing. I know the lighting. The only thing I don't know this evening is how long it will take for this to be resolved. I don't know that, and that's the truth. I can't put my hand up and tell you.
Oh, no, sorry. I say, right, in terms of this, there's an element of money that's been put from the phase one of Money Hill towards this. And that was going to be one of my questions, was we know there's a bit of money that's gone towards a study and an element of this path being fixed. What are the costs? And
I have not got the cost in front of me today because 3 weeks ago it was something else. Now it's something else now. And so the thing has evolved partly because of some of the pressure from me wanting to know it's wide enough, it's lit up, and it's correct in how it is.
Which part of land is it then? Which land is it? Garden room or just through the yard?
Through the yard and on the garden.
So they're giving us some of the garden, are they?
Well, yes.
At what cost then?
Fun.
At what cost then?
I don't know. Ask them. I don't know. I'm not. Look, I'm not there.
I asked
I'm
them
not the barrister or the banker. I have tried to help as best I can to get this through. I think where it was, who knows what would have happened. So I've done it with all honesty, the best intention.
Councillor Jury.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Harrison, based on your summary so far, I do have one question. Are you representing the people of Ashby as a county council of Ashby, or you're representing the interests of the landowner?
No, I'm interested in the people of Ashby. I have no professional commitment with them other than their county councillor. I was the county councillor to begin with, then I lost a seat, and so I was out of all of this. Then suddenly I got a call from another council saying, look, can you come and go and see them because I'm not really getting on with this. And I got drawn back into it again. So that's the extent of it.
Councillor Benfield.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to add anything. I just want to endorse your comments. I find it extraordinary that you, as the county councillor for Ashby, for this site, do not know what the cost is and what the timescale is. You just think about, well, there's a footpath that needs to be a bit wider. And you knew you were coming to a meeting where you were going to be quizzed on this. You brought nothing. You've given, honestly, I don't mean to be rude, but your explanation at the beginning was woeful. It was garbled. You've given no detail of the project. We don't know when it's going to end. We don't know what's going to happen in December when the extension runs out. I'm just flabbergasted, frankly.
All I can say is, I believe, from what I understand, it could well be done before it runs out. But I can't, I'm not I'm not the expert on all of this, but that's what I understand potentially could be the result. And you're right, it will come out of the funds already made available.
Councillor Manning.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Obviously, there's a lot you can't answer because it's not in your remit. Can someone from County Council who can answer these questions come to this next meeting?
I'd be happy to support that. Yes, thank you.
We're asking you things you obviously can't answer. We need someone who can give us.
I don't know the exact costings and
No.
the timing and the schedule.
But we need
Those are
someone
things-
who
Yes.
can, from the correct department, to come to this meeting.
No, I'd be happy to try to facilitate that. Help. Yeah.
We'll do one more question and then Councillor Bigby.
So, just to clarify the situation, obviously you are trying to get a solution sorted out. Don't know how long it will take, but you are attempting to do that. But as far as I understand, you're not getting cooperation from the landowner. Now, can I ask you if you will support, you as the county councillor and the leader of the county council, if you will support the county council taking enforcement action against the landowner to ensure that that park is opened if it is still not open by the time the temporary closure comes out.
Yeah, I'd consider all of that.
Could you give us a
Would you
guarantee?
support that, not consider it?
No,
Could you give us that guarantee, please?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
Let me know that.
be supporting of it, definitely. If they got to December, hopefully they could do it by then, I would have thought, hopefully. Yeah.
That's a step forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Councillor Harrison. I say we've got
One more.
no, we're afraid we can't.
Can I just have one short
No,
question?
we don't. No, afraid we don't allow members of the public to answer after we've gone through public participation. I'm sorry, and we've got a packed agenda tonight, and we're going to be here till God knows when if we carry on. I'm afraid. Thank you.
I was going to suggest a costume.
Just
a question.
Yeah, go on, John, and we'll move on to accounts there.
Councillor Harrison,
Thank you, Dan.
maybe you could tell us why this shooting match hasn't gone before the Development Control Board at County Council. Why haven't you got it through there? You was a member of that for so many years.
Very, very careful. You forget, John, somebody has to make an application. I'm not in charge of that. As far as I know, nobody's made an application
There's been enough
because the
public
county own the land. Somebody else owns the land. They've got rights over it. Normally, yes, in the past it has when they're moving past, but this is just trying to.
Yes, but after all was dealt with by the Development Control, just the same as the planning
No,
committee.
John, I'm sorry, it would have gone if it was meant to have gone.
No,
Nobody
that's
took
not-
it and
that's not-
dived,
there's
but
enough-
check. You
There's
check
enough
with the county
public,
council.
enough public feeling in this town. You should know how people are thinking and how they're feeling.
Of course.
It's
Well,
graceful.
That's Hoxton, right?
Yeah, not a question for Councillor Harrison, so just in general on this point. I'd like to suggest that we as a town council write to the county council again and tell them that we will object to any extension of the closure of the footpath beyond current temporary closure or whatever.
Yeah.
Unless building work is clearly taking place at that time.
So proposing
Yeah.
You can speak on
Yeah, second that.
one. Right. Is everyone in favour? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, we'll move on to item 7 then, payment of accounts. So that's for payment accounts for what? 2,500, 6,900, 57,400 and 10,700 is. We have a proposer for those. So Jerry, thank you. Thank you.
A new second on John.
Right, we'll move on to planning applications then, so. Now, do you want to put them up?
I will indeed. Bear with me. Why is it not letting me share it? Oh, here we go. Oh, why is it gone?
Yeah, you can do it screen window with that. And then put it in the window.
No, which one is it now? Is it the,
This one.
that one?
Yeah.
Good free.
Share.
Oh. Oh, so I thought it was the one and done that. Let's try it like that. A minute. Right, there we go. Is that right? Yeah, I will.
Yes. Right, we'll move on to applications then first.
Right, let me just get my sheet. So,
Yeah.
we'll put bullets for first. So, yes, we've just picked this one from the end, moving it to the beginning. So this is, oh God, in a minute. That one. So it's Bullens Field, as you know, those that you're in earlier on, change of use of land at Pride Park to a public car park comprising of 92 spaces. I had a quick look on the planning portal. Environment Agency, no comments. Environmental Protection, no objection, but would require a full lighting survey. Archaeology, as they haven't objected, they've just said no demolition development shall take place or commence until a written scheme of investigation has been submitted, etc. There's other things that they said, but I won't read through all of those. I've also got an objection, it's a public comment. As a resident of Pride Park Road, we wish to register our strong objection to the proposed development of Bullens Field. This is a quiet residential, no-through road with an estate of accommodation for people over 55 at its end. Having read through the application fully, and whilst acknowledging that there is a need for more parking within Ashby, we still feel that this is an entirely unsuitable location for a car park. It just goes on to say the entrance to the car park to Pride Park is narrow, and there is a point very close to the entrance at which it is difficult to fit 2 cars through at the same time. The gap there is 4.4 metres, and with our medium-sized car being 2.15 metres wide, should we meet a car of similar dimensions coming in the opposite direction, this leaves a clearance of just 10 centimetres. I realise a lot of these points were raised earlier on. We've got on the frequently long queues of cars waiting to turn onto Bath Street, which again we talked about earlier on. It's difficult to understand how the significant increase in traffic noise, both during the day and into the night, has also been deemed acceptable. We currently experience issues with the antisocial behaviour. Again, that has been raised earlier on. There's also safety concerns for children walking to and from school, people walking their dogs, and elderly residents using mobility scooters. Again, the lady over there mentioned that. The application contests the recognition of Bullens Field as a designated green space, and we recognise that there is no evidence of protected species being present. It is, however, one of the only wild, in speech marks, habitats close to Ashby Down Centre and remains a welcome green space with an ever-increasing urbanisation of our town, etc. And then we've just had another one that's just said, I'm struggling to understand why the council/local authority have decided to build yet another car park when we're so desperately short of sports facilities. There is a car park that is underused on the new Taylor Wimpey estate. That's the Money Hill one. Now another one is being proposed on Pride Park Road that will create further congestion on a road along with South Street that struggles with the volume of traffic. And it goes on to say we need a full-size 3G sports facility. So that's a bit of a left field one. There we go. Yeah, and it just mentions sports. So they're the only ones that were online.
Yeah, Councillor Zamani.
Thank you. Anything from Heritage England regarding the fish ponds?
Not as yet. I mean, bear in mind, it's only been up a week, so there'll be a lot more coming through.
The only one that's been on so far, Peshman, was the archaeology from County Council saying that they want a full plan. If
And also highways, have you got any?
No, they're always lit party, I would say.
In my opinion, we need car parks in Ashby, and with Money Hill car park being totally useless at the moment because of the footpath. We could do, I think, to be able, without damaging the town, and to be able to have 90 extra park spaces. And it is helpful. I park at Russian Yard quite often, and by not having spaces available, that causes more traffic on South Street, cars reversing out of Russian Yard car park, car park, because they go in and they can't, there's nowhere to park. If the highways have no issue, if Heritage England has no issue, and apart from objection of the residents, of course, I get that. If you live at the end of the road, of course, there's going to be objections to having a car park. That's normal. But if that's valid objection, then that's up to you. Thank you.
Councillor Benfield.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'm quite torn on this one. I hear the call for more car parking. Do we have any data on the usage of current car parks in Ashby?
The only thing I've seen is, and I haven't got the data at hand, but I know the bid have been doing some, so they've got a consultant to do some, and that was quite stark. It definitely showed that all the centre parking was busy on certainly on days. I was surprised when I saw it. It was like like a Monday morning, like really. Money Hill, they were empty, but there's no surprise. We've already discussed that. So it definitely identified on that report that there are traffic issues, there are parking issues. But I think there's further work to be done on that, because that's kind of a project that BID have been looking at.
I would like to see more work on that, and there are some other sort of questions around this, such as, you know, the environmental officer has said no objection with very little comment. And it seems to me that noting the environmental report has been given as part of the planning application. It is an area of scrubland. It is, you know, but that actually massively increases biodiversity, and I do push back a bit on the impact assessment that sort of says there's not a lot of impact. I think it does create quite a lot of impact, as it's a wild area. So yeah, I'd like to hear other councillors' comments, but I not been totally convinced that we've got to have, you know, it's like parking is always the mantra. We've not looked at other things, and I know I did talk about that some time ago. You know, is there something more in Market Street parking? You know, the comment was made earlier on about encouraging cycling rather than just encouraging more cars. Because, you know, you build roads, you build car parks, more cars come, and that, you know, that is something I would struggle with. So yeah, I am. As a plan, the car park itself is actually quite good. Is it in the right place? I don't know. And one small comment I would make is, you know, solar power for parking is, you know, it's more window dressing. You know, the amount of power a solar panel makes over a car is infinitesimal compared with the power that car needs.
Chair, if I can help on that issue, if I may. The BID has had a study done on parking in Ashby to answer Councillor Benfield's point. There are figures in there, Carl, we'll happily share with you about car parking in Ashby. But to just give you one example, on Monday morning, on a typical Monday morning, car parks in Ashby, and that includes the private parking that Pershman mentioned, are 85 to 100% full. Obviously, that will vary through the week, vary at the time of the day, but they're 85 to 100%. But you're welcome to have a share of that.
Cheers for that. Thanks. Great.
I know my optimism, and I'm hoping that the Money Hill car park will relieve the pressure on the town, especially if it was when it was Wilds Park there. Originally, I hope it'd be free.
Yeah, I know certainly. I know the study Jack's just mentioned only came out, I think, on Friday. So it was literally last minute, and that does mention on Money Hill the fact that A, you can't get there, and B, it's supposed to be long term, so that people park there who are working in the town to relieve the pressure off Market Street, South Street, North Street. So that has identified itself. Part of the problem is the fact we've now got a lovely car park with immaculate tarmac because no one uses it. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Likewise with South Councillor Benfield, there is environmental value in Bullens Field as it is, because of that there is certainly not much land of that type within the centre of Ashby, and also the highways, I'm not convinced. Coming out of Prior Park, I've only driven out of there a couple of times, and when I have, it's hairy with the parked cars. And unless we're going to tell residents on South Street you now lost your car parking, which I'm sure they will love me for.
I'll certainly love you if you do that.
Yeah, I might as well forget about putting my name on a ballot if it comes up on the back of that. But regardless, looking at this, that my worry is that the cars coming out of Prior Park will be hard for them to get onto South Street. So I have reservations. Councillor Bigby, I think you wanted to talk.
Yes, I'm just sure that the people who are here and spoke about it earlier from the public, that as a local ward member, I will be calling this into the District Council Planning Committee, so it will go to the Planning Committee to be considered there. It won't just be nodded through by officers. First of all, with regard this area of Bullens Field has been specifically designated as local green space in the neighbourhood plan because this council was concerned about conserving its value to the town. Whilst the car park is probably obviously better than building houses on it, I still think that it will have a significantly detrimental effect on that local green space. We included this. We're just going through the process of renewing our local plan, our neighbourhood plan, and the developers specifically objected to the inclusion of this site as local green space in the neighbourhood plan going forward. The examiner has specifically, particularly looked at that and said that he still feels that it should go through as local, should continue to be designated as local green space because of its value to the town, and particularly because of its tranquility, which is one of the reasons why it was put forward. Now, I think there's no doubt that a car parking, undue car parking space is not going to add to the tranquility of that area. It's obviously going to be detrimental. So I think from that point of view, I think we should be objecting to this application. I'd also agree with regard to what's been said about the impact on that on the local highway network. I'm particularly concerned about South Street itself. The fact that South Street is basically a single lane road because of the parking along it, and I'm sure that the additional traffic that this would generate, will cause an awful lot of congestion along South Street, with people queuing up to go through that chicane area where the parking is. And I don't think that the transport assessment that the developers have put forward really properly assesses that impact. Also, they haven't looked at the effect on the junction between Bath Street and Station Road and South Street, which is a junction that has an enormous amount of queuing already. And with this additional traffic, I think that will be added to significantly. So that is another concern of mine. I think it will have an impact on the amenity of the local residents, which currently live in a relatively quiet cul-de-sac. And that it will have an effect both on the nature conservation and the significance of the settings of the Ashby Castle and the Castles and Spa conservation area. So I think for all those reasons, it should be we should oppose this application. What I would like to say, though, just before we finish, is that I don't think we should merely oppose the application, because there is a chance that it will go through. The planning committee will look at all the pros and cons at district, and they'll make a decision. So I think that we do need, as a town council, to be specific about the things that if this planning application was to be approved, that the things that we would like to ensure that the car park will provide for the community. So I think we've got to be clear that we want to maximise the any financial input to the town council community fund. That we do want to have use of this car park for 5 days a year for events, which is being suggested by the developers. And I'd also like to see a provision for some car parking for the Bowls Club. And finally, as I've said previously, in our neighbourhood plan, we point out the need or the problem of the pedestrian crossing between at the bottom of South Street from the Loudon Memorial across to the Bath grounds. And I think this, if this goes through, then it will add significantly to the problems at that junction in terms of pedestrian safety. And I'd like to see the developers put contribution towards providing a safe crossing at that junction. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I live in Ashby, and I'm often driving in from typically a Laura area, different times of the day, and the car parking is definitely a problem in central Ashby. So just supposing it all does go through, I would like to see the number of 92 greatly reduced because of the width of parking spaces, and also I imagine 92 cars, there's a lot of cars to put on that particular road. So I mean, I'm a district councillor myself, so but I'm on that committee. I would I'd raise those objections, but definitely no. I don't know. Councillor Hall did mention the relief that we have when the path to Wainwright's yard through there is reconciled. We know what we're doing, so people are coming from the phase 2 Money Hill car park. So we don't know how much impact that would be, but so basically that's it. I mean, we don't know what will happen, but there's certainly a car parking issue. I'm not surprised when Jack said that it was 85% Monday mornings. I'm not surprised in the least. Thanks.
Councillor Duran.
So this evening we have a lot of people in the room trying to object the fact that we want to have a car park. If we were to listen to the public as a town council, would we have enough reasons to push to the district to be able to object or have a successful application of rejecting the entire application, or it's almost impossible? I'm just asking on behalf of everyone sitting in the room.
It depends on the members of that committee at district, but in our response, we just need to make sure that anything we put in is in line with the legal reasons you can object.
Yeah. So 4 people and the width of the road, that's not enough reason.
No, so I think
It comes with the highway. It's got to be a material consideration, basically. Yeah. So
So-
we're looking at.
so the things we could, from looking through highways has been mentioned, that is a consideration that could be. Nature conservation is one on there. The other things I've noticed was going through it in terms of, I think those are the two ones which certainly have heard in the debate so far. Yeah, and heritage, in terms of the impact on heritage, those will probably be the three grounds that I've heard. Yeah.
I think local amenity to residents is also
Yes.
a valid reason. It's policy detail of the local plan, and also the fact that it's designated local green space is also the neighbourhood plan. It's also a valid planning condition. Could I just say, just in terms of, sorry to just finish it, that won't go anymore, I promise. Just in terms of Money Hill, I think it is very unfair to judge Money Hill car park currently, given that it's only just been opened. There's absolutely no signage to it at the moment, so people visiting Ashby don't know it exists. And we have this problem with the access, which even if we not quite sure exactly how Councillor Harrison is going to deal with this, we have some assurances that it will be dealt with. So these short-term issues with regard to the Money Hill car park shouldn't make us think that that car park is not going to be used. It's going to be a very important new car park for the town with 150 car parking spaces. I noticed the developer says it's not 150, it's only 138, yeah, 138 because of the EV charging station. But they've counted the EV charging in their car park as part of the town. Anyway, that's all I was saying.
Just to add to that, the 136, 138 is on the map. If you actually go up there and count them, it's actually 150. I've got a horrible feeling that they've squeezed the markers in even more.
Thank you. Councillor Manning.
I think this one is a very difficult one because the town does need more parking. There are very few places where we can have a car park around town. As you all know, I represent Blackberry, so I'm out of the town and come into the town regular, and I have driven around to find a parking space to the different car parks. I've even come to the council offices to park and not being able to park. So we are restricting people coming into town. We want people to come to town to shop, to use restaurants, to use the cafes. We've got a lot of independent shops. People from far and wide like to come to Ashford, and we're not giving them, allowing for Money Hill, the parking in town. So they drive on to somewhere else. People know of Ashford, they've heard of it. Now, whether this is the right place, I'm not sure. And I think it will be down to the transport side. I think it will be down to county to decide whether the road is suitable or not. But as a plan for a car park, I think this is actually quite a nice plan. It's got a lot of greenery. It's not tarmacked. The water will go through. It won't be sitting on tarmac as you have in most car parks. So I think from a design point of view, it's good car park. Whether it's in the right place, I think it won't be down to us. It will be down to highways to make that decision. Finally, I think they will say the road is safe or not. I've driven twice a day along High Park Road for about 5 years to visit my brother who lived there or lived. It is a difficult road, but this also would mean it will take some of those cars that park on the road off the road. People coming into town can't go in a car park, they look for somewhere to park. They drive up there, they park along that road, and they do park all the way up that road when it's busy. when there's a big event going on, you will find cars parked up there and up other similar roads around town where elderly people live. So I think it is a difficult one. And I think it needs looking into from the highways point of view. But as a car park, I think it's quite a nice design for a car park.
Yeah, councillor.
I'm going to go, just, I can see Victor's point quite clearly, and that's the point I was trying to make as well. Very similar, that we need a car park. As long as people like highways and authorities have no issue with it, then it should be considered. That's in my opinion.
Right. So I think we're coming, on councillor Coxon, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. And this land has been a target for many years as a car park, Chairman. And I think, you know, a lot of local people would have jumped at the chance of having it as a car park, Chairman. Although I heard what other people said, that it's grown up around that car park now, where there's the flat at the end of South Street or the bottom of Car Park Road on South Street, which is a big difference now to what it was years ago. But it has been sort of the prime site for a car park, say, for many years. It was the one piece of land that comes to spring to mind straight away with most people, that when there was consulted on should we have a car park and where should we have it. So it is a difficult decision to make, really, whether you for it or against it. I mean, it's got, there's a need there, obviously, but it's whether it outweighs the cost of using what there is there already, Sharon. But it may be the only chance that we'll ever get of getting that piece of land for a car park, Chairman.
Thank you, councillor Coxon. Right. So I think it's fair to say the views are split. So I think it's probably best we go for show of hands on this one, because I don't think we've got a unanimous decision from what I'm hearing around the table. In terms of,
Yes, I mean, I suppose in terms of reasons for objection, we're obviously based around highway amenity. It's written down on there. Obviously with regards to tranquility impact, designated green space. So there's some of the objections. So it's just a case of whether who wants to agree with that, or who's happy to not object, I suppose.
Yeah, so we'll do it on that. So we'll do it on who wants to object, and then who's happy to not object. Okay. So could you have a show of hands of those who want to object against the application, please? Okay.
Well, let's carry that into there. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll, in terms of that objection as well, can we make sure councillor Bigby's request for a 106, should it be approved, go in?
So I think it's very important category.
We're going to say
when it goes to district, the chances are
precisely
we're overruled, and
we will see what happens. But we'll work on the assumption. So that
mark me down as an abstention.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
I can do.
I'm not allowed to comment on anything specific. I'm not speaking to them. I would imagine that if I did speak to the people who play a part in that, nobody disputes Ashby's need for a car park. That's black and white. You need 10 car parks. It's a fantastic town. I'm a visitor here. I love your town. It's just you've got to pick the right spot. You're only going to get one chance. Think carefully. That's my opinion.
Right, we'll move on to the next.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment if people want to leave.
Yeah, they might well do, yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming along.
See you later.
Is it actually classed as a conservation?
It's a lovely green space. Yeah, there is quite, yeah.
It's adjacent.
The landowner volunteered to pretend.
They already have done
Yeah.
quite a bit of that, haven't they? So,
I mean, to be honest, if I owned it,
Yeah.
I'd feel all those grounds.
Look, we're not doing very well with that.
right.
Right, next one then.
Okay, so I did had to put it right. So then we're moving back to number 1, which is Highgate. And it's a single-storey rear extension to replace existing conservatory. And you'll be pleased to know there are no comments or objections. I'll just show you they're quite rudimentary drawings as well, actually, all in pencil. So they're not even particularly clear whether you've had a chance to look at it, but you can see where it's based. And there's no comments or objections.
So move, no objection.
Yeah, all happy with that? Lovely. Right, then we've got the Limes, which is 67 Measham Road. Amendments to Condition 2 of Planning Permission 24/01593/FUL, which was for the erection of 2-storey rear extension, 1.5 and single-storey side extension, together with driveway and landscape amendments to change the approved plans in relation to the design of the 2-storey rear extension, 1.5 and single-storey side extension. We didn't, back in 2024, we didn't object to the original application. You might remember it. It's quite a nice, it's on Measham Road, rather a sizable property. So it's kind of sat in its own area. Yeah, so.
Could I ask where we are with sewage in the River Meads? Because I thought that we were at capacity and that the applications that have gone in for housing have been accounted for in that. So that everything, you know, like Money Hill has been accounted for in that. But this is a new application. It looks like the kind of build that we're going to have additional bathrooms and toilets. Is that going to be resisted by districts?
I don't know.
I always get confused.
I can't remember what they said. Yeah, I don't know whether they may have gone for like a septic tank option. I can't remember what's. I know we didn't object to the first one. I'm not sure what's on there.
Yes, I had this River Meads stuff a lot in Ashley Walls. The latest thing is that if you put a cesspit in, that will be temporary cesspit, because by the end of 2027, I understand 7 Trent will put in this pipe that will miss, I don't know exactly where it will go, but it's bypass through everything. I don't know if there is a cesspit, but so to say, that's the what's happening in more area and temporary cesspits.
Right, so.
Just to say, I think if there was going to be a cesspit involved in this, then it would say so to make an application. They normally do.
Yeah,
It's
thanks,
a
David.
material point that it's always put into the description.
What do you want to do
So
then?
the committee, do you want to, are we, no objection or? No objection, no objection. Okay.
Okay, then we've got Dairy Lane, which is
Excuse me.
just write that down. 1958 during.
Declaring interest in.
Oh, yeah, I declare an interest on
Yeah.
30 dairy.
Oh, right, okay, that's fine. Didn't spot that one.
So yeah, so this one is what, a certificate of lawful proposed development. Was it a rear dormer extension and roof?
Was that
line?
as a neighbour? She never told me why.
Yes,
It was a
no,
reason. Yeah,
neighbour,
the
yeah.
neighbour.
Yes,
That's
yes.
fine. I never
She lives
yeah.
on the back, I think. Yeah, she's definitely a neighbour.
Thank you very much. Okay, yes, sorry. So we've got, yes, certificate of lawful proposed development for insertion of rear dormer extension. There are no comments or objections to this one. So you can see the before on the top, the existing and the proposed.
Okay. Any comments or should we? No.
Okay.
No objection?
Was there comments?
All about-
I think it's quite big, but
Yeah.
the neighbours aren't objecting.
I don't see nobody has, and I looked just this afternoon as well. Actually, there were no comments. So
No objection. then. Right.
It was, yes. Don't mess about now. Right, number 4 is 2 Wilfrid Place, which is a demolition of existing attached garage and lobby and erection of 2-storey side extension, first floor side extension and single-storey side entrance porch, formulation of new vehicular access and provision of hard standing with associated landscaping and retaining walls. The only comment on here was from the Highway Authority that just said, if granted, the applicant will need to apply for a dropped curb permit.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the a bit weird drawings actually, but there we go. So, and other than that, there's no comments from any members. Okay.
I did look at this to see whether they were losing any spaces and parking spaces on the road. But I think they're providing 3 parking spaces at the site, and they lose about 1 space on the road. So, and they've got 1 space at the moment. So I don't think it's a net loss of parking.
So moving on.
Right, then Marlborough Way, another certificate of lawful proposed development of erection of a single-storey side extension to form a conservatory. Very rudimentary drawing we have on this one, Esther. The flooring, there we go. And that is, there's no comments or objections to that.
Move no objection.
Good. Then we've got 47 Abbey Drive. Amendments to condition 2 of a planning application we got in early this year, which was for the erection of a single-storey side extension, single-storey rear extension, new front porch, external brick cladding and erection of garden room to change the design of the proposed extensions and the materials. We didn't object to the original application. There have been no comments or objections to this application. I just asked the planning from obviously just to come, because sometimes it's like it's changed, it's not obvious what's changed, and she just said the amendments proposed in this application are the removal of the single-storey side extension, alteration of the proposed porch to a single-storey front extension, changes to the proposed materials from all brick to part brick to match the existing, and part render on the outbuilding, side gable and rear extension. The external cladding installation proposed as on the previous application. And that's what, I mean, I don't remember it, but we'll get so many of them. So we've got the existing and the proposed, existing on the left-hand side, proposed on the right.
Move no objection.
Yep. And we've got 152 Marlborough Way, erection of a single-storey front extension and a garage conversion. And there are no comments or objections to this. So again, you've got the existing on the top row and the proposed on the bottom.
So
Doesn't actually extend the building much forwards, does it? I'm what concerned, but yeah, but there's no already initial porch. Yeah.
With that,
so move no objection.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Right, then we've got land at Pryfields. Again, we've seen this one before. This was amendments to condition 2 of planning permission, and it was back in, well, it's actually 2021, which was for the erection of a dwelling, including access to substitute the approved plans following which I'm sure I've seen it since then, but I don't know. Anyway, so the council didn't object to the original application. One neighbour has commented though, and I've just spotted that this afternoon. As I occupy the hawthorns immediately opposite the proposed development, this is very unsatisfactory. The new application is in fact for a larger property than the previous approved application. Such a large development will not be in keeping with the neighbourhood and will be detrimental to my property, as well as not being in keeping with the planning guidelines. We've also had, just the diagrams on here are really fussy, so it's quite difficult to get much of a feel for what's gone on that. But we've also had another objection, bear with me, which is, that's quite a detailed one. They've objected on the grounds of overbearing mass and scale of development. Proposed amendments to the building's design, particularly to the increased mass and scale, represent a significant deviation from the prior approved plans. The scale of the new structure, particularly in relation to its surroundings, remains out of proportion with the local area and is detrimental to the character of the neighbourhood. The development will be overly dominant and intrusive in the landscape, which is particularly concerning in light of NWLDC's core strategy policy CS10. So they've done the homework, this neighbour, which requires that all new development should be of a scale, density and design that respects the character of the area and does not adversely affect the amenity of local residents. Where an already controversial driveway once was with a more tasteful single-storey timber carport, amendments show a full double-height section in its place. This proposed impact extends the mass of the building, blocking essential daylight to surrounding properties, and makes the curbside impact less than considered in relation to Pryfields. This is to remind everyone a small narrow back garden where a house of this scale or nature should ever be allowed and would be better suited to be a garage or left as grassland. They've also talked about lack of clear details regarding size and square footage. It's obviously gone up in size. They've put furthermore policy H7 of the Leicestershire County Council structure plan stresses the importance of considering the cumulative impact of incremental changes, and lack of transparency about the extent of the changes only exacerbates concerns that the amendments may lead to further unaccounted for alterations in the future. They do talk as well about the North West Leicestershire District Council supplementary planning document on household design. So it sounds like they've obviously got a planning background. They've also talked about negative impact on Pryfields community. The original one was granted despite widespread opposition from Pryfields community with regards to the impact of the development on their quality of life. The proposed amendments, which seek to enlarge the structure and alter its design, further disregard the local community's wishes. As NWLDC's Residential Design Guide 2017 states, community consultation is an integral part of the planning process, particularly in the residential areas. The failure to properly consider and mitigate the concerns of the local residents undermines the planning process and ignores the principles of sustainable development as outlined in the national of the NPPF, which calls for decisions to reflect the needs and concerns of local communities. And then you've also got policy compliance and potential for precedent. It's essential that any planning permission granted does not establish a harmful precedent that could encourage further overdevelopment in the area. The application fails to demonstrate compliance with a number of relevant policies, including the NWLDC local plan policy SS3, which stresses the need for high quality design that enhances the area's identity and does not overpower its surroundings. LCC's landscape character assessment, which advises against developments that harm the character of rural and suburban landscapes, and NPPF Chapter 12, Achieving Well-Designed Places, which advocates for developments that respond to local contexts and maintain or enhance surrounding environment. And they do put a conclusion in as well. For the reasons outlined above, I urge North West Leicestershire District Council to reject the proposed amendments to planning application. The excessive scale, lack of detail regarding size and changes to square footage, and failure to properly consider the impact on the Pryfields community raise significant concerns that cannot be overlooked. The development in its proposed form remains inconsistent with planning policy and would result in significant harm to the character of the area, the amenity of local residents, and the integrity of the planning process. Very well put together, that, isn't it? There we go. I don't know. It makes me. It's obviously got like, must have. I mean, it was must have planning background.
So I know you haven't got the plan as it were on there, Mel, but we have online. It is a 2-story house.
Oh right, I did not put that one on. Say again.
You put up the front elevation. Do you have that?
Yeah. Have you got?
I've got the elevation.
Have you got? I was going to say if you'd got, I could just swap my cable.
This one's in my plan on quite well.
I don't know why I didn't put that one on actually.
Been going on quite a long time. My understanding is that the original house was big, the original plan was big, then they reduced it, and that's increased again. Is my understanding. And it is. I can understand that the neighbours on the opposite side of the road, their concerns. Because it is overbearing, and I would object to it. I'm not clear on this application, but I think the original one had the sewage going into a cesspit, and it's a narrow road, and you're going to have a sewage tanker blocking off a narrow road right in front of someone. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong with it.
You've not mentioned that.
I'm not sure that's the term.
Yeah, but at least, yeah. I mean,
I'm
there's-
not sure that's the case with this application.
So do we want to, as a committee, do you want to object
I
then
think so.
with regards, and the same with, if you want to pick out
yeah,
the
we can
points
do,
from,
yeah,
from
we'll do,
those,
yeah,
Mel,
we
and
kind of got,
and echo them.
yeah, I will do.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm going to
I'm going to say, I'll be cutting and pasting that.
elevations and it's huge.
Mm.
I'm going to say it looks, from looking at that, that looks bigger to me than some of the houses opposite.
Yeah.
They're bigger.
They're big as well.
Yeah. Okay, that's lovely.
Right.
Right, so I'll echo the neighbour's objection.
No.
Well, yeah, true.
Bigger than my house.
So, right, number 9.
Right, number 9, yes, South View, 14 Field Lane boundary. So that's more your patch, Rita. This is erection of a single-storey rear extension and insertion of 3 roof lights to existing ground floor rear projection. And I'll sort of show you again, I should try to keep it down to 2 images, but there are no comments or objections.
I think it's the only reason for it to get down there.
Right, so we move,
It's a neighbour's gentle object.
Yeah, I've not seen anything in the look today. Okay.
move no objection then.
Right, and finally Churchill Close. Right, this is quite, so you can see where it is. It's they're having all sorts done. It's demolition of existing rear conservatory, side porch and detached garage, erection of 2-storey rear extension including first floor terrace balcony, single-storey flat roof side link extension to attached single-storey garage, external alterations including replacement windows and doors, provision of log burner chimney and alterations to external wall finishes, landscaping to front and rear gardens, new rear patio areas and installation of swim pool and access gates to front. So quite a lot going on here. We did have, because I looked, there weren't any objections anyway, now there is. I don't think we've had them from, oh, bear with me, we've had, no, so environmental protection haven't objected, they never seem to do actually, but we have had an email from the neighbour who's just put the recent properties in this part of Ashby have open access frontages with open drives leading directly off roadways. To install gates would be a major change to the frontage of the property, altering both vehicle and pedestrian access, although the planning submission says not, and be out of keeping with all of the properties in the area. The current design of the frontage means that new boundary structures to the sides of the drive, for example, walls or fences, would need to be constructed to support gates. All this would make a major change to the appearance of the property from the road, as well as affecting the appearance and layout of adjacent properties. Metal gates would be particularly out of keeping, considering the age and style of construction of the close. I believe this merits careful consideration by the planning committee. In spite of this important change, the planning submission is extremely vague on this, talking of approximate sizes, example types of gates and example suppliers, leaving us none the wiser as to what is actually going to be constructed. I do not consider that 1.2 high as low level. Number 2, the bungalows all along the south side of Churchill Close, part of the design of the original builders of the close, are matched by the bungalows on the north sides of Highfield Close. If owners of any of the bungalows are allowed to build 2-storey extensions, this would create a precedent. Lack of privacy would become a problem, I think, and the openness of this part of Ashby would be lost. Number 3, there is reference to security lighting and feature lighting. Are there restrictions on such lighting that could be added to any planning permission? Churchill Close is quiet and dark in the evening and night. Street lighting is switched off, and any nighttime lights would illuminate the corner of the close around number 11 and disturb us. And number 4, the pool plant equipment is of concern. Will there be regulations governing noise and times of use or any planning agreement? On any planning agreement? And number 5, is the log burner chimney too high given the height of neighbouring properties? There's some questions in the end of them, but that's, yeah, so that's comment from a chap that lives at 12, so he's opposite, isn't he? Yeah. There we go. What would you like to do?
Councillor Palmer.
I think it's actually a two-story house, isn't it? It's a bungalow.
It's a shabby bungalow.
Yeah, it's not much to bungalow. It's actually got
Mm.
It's, you know, it's got a skylight inside. But it's not got shabby windows. It's just, the next.
Yes, currently it's got.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not put the existing. I think I just put.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a dormer because.
Yeah. Got a window in the room.
I think you're on the right one.
Yes.
Room.
So,
On the street.
so in terms of what the resident has raised in terms of objections, I'm assuming that's going down the fact that they'd be changing the character, which seems to be one. I'm not so sure about the hours of using the pump and that. I've heard about that one. We've had applications from like pubs and stuff about tractor pans, but I don't think that extends to residential.
Well, no, environmental protection of not objecting. That's the kind of thing they should be looking at.
Because that'd be their
My
thing.
experiences pubs aren't that.
I'm going to say I don't know, but I'll take your word for
My
it.
daughter's got one, so that's something else.
Yeah. So I think of anything, it is the appearance from the front and the lighting. If you were going to object, which would be what we'd go on the grounds of. Do we wish to object or not? I'm not.
I'll be fairly,
There's an issue about it being able to keep them rest, at least outside. Tittle bungalows. There seems to be a fashion recently, people buying bungalows and then completely changing massively.
It's a shame as there is a shortage of bungalows, but anyway.
it's basically an extension of what's already there. It's not changing it.
So
it's not my ward. The ward member.
You are, yeah.
No objection?
No objection then?
Oh, okay.
Right. We're happy then, no objection then? Yeah. Right.
Okay, thank you.
We'll move on then. So planning applications received from summary tests, just to receive a note.
If we can just, with the planning application, if somebody can.
Sorry.
We like to
Always
move
forget
them.
the last bit.
I
If
know.
they were to move them on masse.
Yes.
Yeah, second by Pishman and councillor Jury to propose.
Yeah. Lovely. Right, let me
Right,
just,
sorry,
let me just hide my,
Yeah.
to be on
So in
anymore.
terms of number 9, then the summer recess, that's just to receive a note. Obviously, make sure that members in the wards got sight of them as they came through. So we have to receive and note those.
Why
And
can't,
then,
sorry, I'm just going to stick
Don't
my
worry.
camera on. It seemed to be,
okay.
there we go, yeah. We're back
And
on
then
again.
item 10, so planning decisions. So receive and note the decisions at district. Okay. Right, so move on to item 11 then, the Money Hill Steering Group. So this has got the minutes from the 25th of July and the 22nd of August. As I'm sure you're more than all aware, a lot of these minutes are relating to PAP 089. And obviously Councillor Horn has sort of been to some meetings at county, so he came to the steering group to update us, seeing as the owners of the yard didn't want to talk directly, which was wonderful. So in terms of that, well, obviously, and also we've got on there an update in terms of that we now have a working group on the community facility as well to make sure that we can build a business plan for that, so we have something to back it up. And also in terms of there, as you can see, the 106 request, we sent that into district, and then at the August meeting, Chris Elston from district updated us and basically went through it with us and said these ones are doable, these ones need a bit of work on, etc. So we're reorganising the 106 document on the back of that. We've more than plenty of time to get that in the right shape to resubmit, but we'll be doing so. So unless there's any other questions from anyone, we'll move on. Okay, so then item 12. So following on from Councillor Benfield's motion about Market Street and the 20 mile an hour on there, this is just received the correspondence in Annex 8 with regard to it. So as far as counties, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Mel, but this is Nailworth County and they're going to do some speed surveys
Correct, yeah.
on the basis of whether it's above or 20, above or below 20, the average speed, that then tells them which way they've got to go. And if it's above, you have to put something in to slow people down. If it's below, it's just a straight whack the signs on.
That's right.
But I say on there, obviously the streets we asked them to look at is Bath Street, Market Street, Brook Street, Wood Street, North Street, South Street, Pride Park Road, Derby Road, and then that section of Nottingham Road that goes from Wood Street up to Woodcote Way.
That's
so
right,
that it covers the entrance to the school.
Chair, can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
It concerns me about their speed surveys when, I don't know how they conduct them and in what period, but there are clearly times of day when the speed survey is going to show a low average and when it's going to show a high average. So I think we just need to be alert to that when they, I think we need detail of the speed survey when we give it. And the other thing I would say is they're saying that it's £10,000 to change the speed limit, which seems excessive. I know there are, there are a number of procedures that go to some, but I think are super efficient, now hyper focused county council surely do it for less money than that.
So you're quoted to that 10,000.
Yeah, I think we did go back to them, didn't we, Mel, asking about what times.
Well, I was going to do, and then I thought I know they do, as I realised, because they've been, some had been going on higher up at the top end of Nottingham Road, and I realised, it's done 24 hours, but I think, as Cal said, when the data comes, what we'll be looking for is it's not like this is the average speed. It's like, well, I'm sorry, that's meaningless. We need to look at. We know Market Street's a problem at after 8 o'clock at night, kind of thing, when you get them bombing up. So
Every 7 o'clock, it's a problem. Those people will even listen to whether the speed limit is 40, 30, 20.
Yeah.
They're going to be what they want.
Yeah. I'm going to say, and I think that's definitely one thing we raise with the police when they come next. One of their new objectives is if it happens, we want them standing on Market Street.
Definitely.
Market Street, 30 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour, it would take an additional 6 seconds to drive up the street.
It's
nothing.
I've tried it myself, Carl, after the meeting, and there's not much in it. And certainly, if you went down there at rush hour, there's no difference at all because you're not moving. Yeah.
I remember actually 40 years ago when I was a student at Birmingham. We used to go from Nottingham, A453 to Birmingham. And the traffic then without the bypass, without A42, with all that. I remember sitting and looking at this game shop.
Oh, yeah.
For like 15 minutes from one direction for those stubborn bypass. I would do that.
Right. Before we go down memory lane too much, I know it's
I enjoyed that.
it's all right. No, it was nice. It was a nice diversion of it of the evening. The next bit we've got just for receiving a note in item 14 is the good design consultation.
We're missing out the Money Hill.
Sorry. So it's corresponds to that Money Hill car park. So receive a notice. So
I'll just give you a quick update on that, if I may, because it was like, I went to Paul, then Paul came back to Chris, then Chris was like, oh no, it's Paul. So anyway, Paul has actually given me an update. So he's been liaising with the county council, who's, no surprise, informed that the process could take some time, but there may be the option of speeding this up by agreeing a temporary sign. An office has now been, district council has been assigned to deal with this, and he's also got back to me just to say that he's planning on using a local sign writer to make metal signs in line with obviously in line with regulations of Traffic Act. Now, I don't know whether you can see I think there's only Jack on there. Let me just show you the image that he sent me, which is a start. So it's at least there's a bit of an update there. There we go. So you can see he's proposing to put signs, obviously going up Wood Street, and signs coming down, depending on which way you're going, just to direct members of the public. So they're on it, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say there. Whether we need more, I'm sure we probably need more signs than that. But anyway, that's start for taking.
Is the car park registered with Google Maps and all the other associations?
Absolutely no idea. Because that's a district council thing. I mean, I can't think they work for.
That's been done because that's important. people looking for car parks, we
Yeah.
can see it.
We'll follow that up. But yeah, so moving on in terms of with item 14, which is the draft good design consultation. The first page of that in Annex 10 is our response back to County District with a few points there. So there's a few typographical errors, etc. And also obviously the final point notes that they talk about best practice, but none of them pertain from the East Midlands, which is a minor issue. Because as lovely as Cambridgeshire is, I don't think Ashby should look like Cambridgeshire. It should look like Ashby. So yeah, there's a few things in there. Okay, so I'll say if everyone's okay with that. Item 15 then is the neighbourhood plan. So this is the response from the examiner to the it's quite a chunky document, but in short, I know there's a few things that Mel is sent out to the people who are on the neighbourhood plan committee. So certainly council has been involved quite closely.
Yeah, and
just responding to that.
I'll just give you a quick update on that. I was just chasing Chris Elster at the District Council in terms of what happens next. So he's just said, hi Mel, the council and Ashby Town Council received the examiner's report last week. So I knew that. The examiner recommends that, subject to some modifications, the Ashby de la Zouch neighbourhood plan review can go forward to referendum. I think we were originally hoping it wouldn't go to referendum, but I think they basically said, as you know, there's been significant changes, so it's got to. The examiners, or probably will do. The examiner's report is published on our website, and people who made representations have been notified. It is also on our website. The next steps are as follows. Report to the council's portfolio holder to consider the examiner's recommendations for the ANPR and to conclude whether the plan should proceed to referendum. Once agreed, colleagues in Democratic Services will arrange the referendum, and assuming the referendum outcome is positive, the council makes a decision to formally make the ANPR. And I know he's also confirmed that it will be the district council that will make the amendments as well. So that's, for us, it's kind of the last we'll see, or should I say for me, it's the last I'll see of it for some time. So yes, it's all in hand.
Thank you. Cheers, Mel.
Right. So it is disappointing that several of the important issues that we hoped to get in have been rejected by the examiner. So we haven't managed to get the policy on areas of separation. Which is unfortunate, but we tried.
Yeah, indeed.
And as I said earlier in the meeting, it was good that he has volunteered in local green space. And he has made some comments about its significance in terms of historic and nature conservation, which may count against it in terms of the application for the canal. What else was there? Oh yes, the other thing is that he's not allowed. You know, we had we put in the policy about local connections for affordable housing. He hasn't allowed it exactly as we put forward, but he has allowed a certain degree of affordable housing being able to be allocated to people with a local connection. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
Right, moving on then, item 16. So this is a correspondence about a couple of months ago. We had an application about a mobile phone mast, and then subsequent month we had an application of the same plot of land to have another garage. Both times as a town council we didn't raise objection, but the long and short of this one is that district not rejected, but declined the application for the mobile phone mast, but did it a day after it should have been. So obviously that is now with district resolve out of our hands, but we've put it in here just so everyone can see that correspondence with regards to that, because this is a bit of a Horlicks.
Effectively, they're given permission to
two things.
So, it's going to be an interesting structure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
going to be a very strong roof on that.
Oops.
Right, and then moving on in X13, we put this for noting. It's not our patch, but as I'm sure we're all aware, there is a new settlement being built south of Donington, sort of near the south of the East Midlands Airport. And it was more just so everyone can see the scale and size of it.
So it will have an impact on us without a shadow of a doubt.
So that was just for noting. Bob, yeah, so right, then moving on to Hicks Lodge and item 18. So just wanted to give a verbal update on that. The long and short, as we all know, we've got the footpath now that goes up to Hicks Lodge, which is brilliant. Obviously, we want to make that a cycle path because it annoys me immensely that we have a cycle centre and you can't cycle there unless you want to take your life in your hands going down that road tomorrow.
I went up there yesterday on the bike. And, yes.
You're mad, Doug. You're mad. But either way, the long and short is that county are due to be meeting with Forestry England this week. They're having struggle with the landlord themselves that owns those fields, but they are in agreement with us and that it's a good thing to do and they want it. And the cogs are starting to turn. We know they're slow at county, but they are starting to turn, which is positive. So we're certainly as town council, we'll keep pressure on them to make that reality.
I keep chasing them, but they come back.
Yeah,
Wow,
keep
wow,
haranguing them
wow.
until they get fed up.
Sure.
And they come back. That's the thing what we're going to have to do. But go on, Carl.
Can I publicly thank Frank for
Yes.
all the effort he's put in those so many years on this? It's really appreciated.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, are we going to be involved in those discussions? Or they keep it?
We've asked to be involved in them. We'll see what happens, but we will keep haranguing them because the thing we're pretty certain of is it will disappear off the agenda if we don't keep nagging and nagging.
Yeah, at first it is a case of nagging because it will go away, and I do keep jabbing every now and again just to get some kind of update. But yeah, I think that's the plan.
Thank you. Right, and then moving on, so we have a temporary traffic regulation order with regards to statutes in Annex 14, which is the usual one we're all well aware of as to how that works. And then in Annex 15 is the other temporary traffic regulation orders, which obviously are more, don't come round once a year. So we'll receive and note those. Okay, right, and then we're on to the crime report in item 21. So this is up to June now. We haven't had the July figures. Don't worry, no, I know. Well, thank you. I'm amazed we got this far to be on before we had to go.
Do you mind if I just rewind slightly to the statute?
Yeah, sure.
Temporary traffic regulation. It doesn't seem to mention what they're doing at the bottom of South Street. I've been surprised the last few years when they've put in traffic down there, which seems to slow everything down.
Yes.
And it used to work perfectly well without traffic lights, because they allow people to go in both directions. But because they don't seem to have done that recently. I wonder whether we could at least get back to them and suggest that they do look at that junction again. Because it causes enormous tailbacks on South Street that I don't think are really necessary.
Yeah, we can.
Look, sorry, Jack, just say that again. So they're putting traffic lights on.
Is where the London Memorial is?
Yeah.
Right.
And basically, the council speaker we ask them to review that and whether not having traffic lights would actually make the flow better so that people aren't queuing down South Street.
They used to allow traffic to filter right along the south side of the London Memorial and having a section of Bath Street which was two lanes, and then it sort of filtered into one further round. And they stopped doing that, and I don't know why.
Okay. And avoided congestion. Okay. I'll look at that. Okay. Cool.
Right. So in terms of crime report, we're up to June. Looking year on year in the town centre, it is pretty much as was. Some of the crimes have changed, but overall it's 21-22, which I think is good. It's positive. There's stuff still work to do. There always will be, but it's positive that it's stabilised. It's certainly a lot further down than we were a couple of years ago when we all first met as a committee. And then in terms of the wider area, the whole of the town, again, it's gone up year on year, but it's not significant jumps. It's looking at the stats, it seems to be bubbling around that 80, 90 crimes per month.
Just saying, I did actually have some feedback. I had some people complain to me about drug dealing in Money Hill, on Willowbrook, end of Money Hill, which I was unaware of. And then I put the form into the police. And last week they said, well done, the police have had what do you call it, patrols around there. It seems to have gone away, and I see that's in the latest neighbourhood. I don't know. So, that was something that came back, and I thought, well, that's worthwhile telling the police if they do something, because otherwise, I mean, they did mention actually putting drugs inside the grit and sand. Somebody was coming along, taking out the drugs, and then somebody else had taken the money. So they didn't actually have to meet in the car and exchange things that I wouldn't know anything about. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Is there any other points on that before we move on from anyone? No. Okay. So then we have the pub watch minutes from the 1st of July and the 5th of August. Meetings to receive a note, and obviously on there the purple flags noted, because obviously that's coming up to the assessment. I know that we're pushing as a town council to try and get as many people as possible responding.
We'll book the restaurant for that night when they're going to.
Okay. Brilliant.
I'm going to be walking.
Thank you, Ken.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just mentioned, I noticed that in the last two sets of minutes on here, the district council's representative from CCTV hasn't gone along to the meeting.
Yeah.
I have raised this with the head of community services of the district. I just promised to have a word.
Yeah, me and Stu were talking about that as well, just saying, well, we haven't got any stats, so yeah, we've missed being there.
Thank you. And then we'll move on then to the final item, license applications. So there's nothing in there for actually this one. So right, we'll bring it to a close.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Tough
Thank
meeting.
you. Yeah, well done.